Hello everyone and welcome back to this Euro 2016 prediction series. Now this is the third episode, we're on to the quarterfinals already. I think this tournament is seemed to have flown in, so it has, and now we're nearing the end of the tournament and we'll be drawn near to the end of this prediction series in the process as well. So as it is the third episode, we done a prediction episode for the group stage, we done a prediction episode for the round of 16. And the series score is currently 18 out of 28 after the group stage scores. And after we've seen how the group stage has panned out, we got 18 points, which is rather good as it's above halfway. Now, and in this episode, we're going to see how we done in the round of 16. Now, to recap, with the knockout stage, obviously the group stages were a different format to the knockout stage, and we have a completely new point system. So we get 3 points if we correctly predict the winner, the loser, and if the match goes into extra time or penalties. We get 2 points if we predict the winner and loser, but don't predict correctly if the match goes into extra time or penalties. Then we get 1 point if we only predict that the match goes into extra time and penalties and the winner and the loser is incorrect. And we get 0 points if the 3 outcomes are incorrect altogether. Now we're going to move on to the first match. The first match that kicked off in the round of 16 was Poland versus Switzerland, and our prediction was Poland to go through with Switzerland losing out at this stage, and for the match to go no farther than the 90 minutes. And fortunately, now Poland did come through and beat Switzerland, but unfortunately it was in penalties. After Blaszczykowski scored the opener for Poland, Jackieri came through in the last 10 minutes and scored a lovely overhead kick, it has to be said, and that leveled it up and it went through to extra time. And unfortunately the stalemate couldn't be broken within that half-hour period, and it went right through to penalties. And Stefan Lichtsteiner kicked it all off with Switzerland's first penalty. Unfortunately he scored, but Robert Lewandowski levelled it all up for Poland. And unfortunately Arsenal's new signing Xhaka, he missed the penalty, and unfortunately that meant that Switzerland were knocked out in penalties. And as the match went the full way, unfortunately we miss out in the 3rd point, so we only get 2 points for that. So well done for Poland for reaching the quarterfinals, and later on we're going to see who they come up against. Now, the second match is Wales versus Northern Ireland, and my predicted winner was Wales, which is rather controversial as I am from Northern Ireland and I support the country, but unfortunately I couldn't see them beating the quality that Wales had with Gareth Bale, Aaron Ramsey, etc. And as Northern Ireland were very defensive during their group stage matches, they only conceded 2 goals, but they scored 2 goals as well. So it was very low scoring, and I thought because of that the match would go right through to extra time and potentially penalties. But unfortunately it didn't turn out that way, as Wales won. Northern Ireland lost, unfortunately, but the match came to a close after a Macaulay own goal, after Gareth Bale crossing the ball in with a decent cross in truth. But unfortunately Macaulay couldn't get the ball away and unfortunately directed it into his own goal. But for the defender's standpoint, if he didn't get to it, there was one of the Wales players was right behind him, and if he didn't get to it, then the Wales player is likely going to. So he had to do something, and unfortunately ended up in his own goal. So that is a little bit heartbreaking for Northern Ireland, but fortunately we've done so well to get into the top 16 teams. If you're going for round of 16, we end up there. And that is very, very good in regards to this tournament. We've done so well after qualifying for a start, getting out the group stage, and now unfortunately missing out in the quarterfinals. But what can you do? And Wales, the first home nation to come through to the quarterfinals, and we're going to see how the rest of them do. And unfortunately it was with the demise of Northern Ireland. So out of that we scored 2 points, and that is another couple of points onto our tally. So we're going to move on to the next match. So the third match in the round of 16, Croatia versus Portugal. And I had Croatia to win this game and Portugal to unfortunately be knocked out. And for the match, as I seen, Portugal were rather unsteady during their group stage matches against Hungary, Iceland and Austria. And I couldn't see them going through with the class that Croatia had. But I knew it was going to be a tight match as Croatia came off a win against Spain in their last group match. And because of that, I could see the match going the full way to extra time or even penalties for that. And unfortunately for Croatia, they actually lost out of this situation as Portugal got an 117th minute winner. So they did. Quaresma scored after Croatia dominated pretty much the majority of the game. And unfortunately Portugal nicked it just in the last few minutes. And as I said, 117 minutes is more than 90, so the match went through to extra time and penalties, so we get 1 point for that. And it is very unfortunate. Croatia, after doing so well in group stages, after winning their group, they couldn't carry on and beat Portugal to get into the quarterfinals. But I guess Ronaldo and the rest of the Portuguese team are riding their luck at the minute. So they are, with the performances that they've had, they've been rather shaky, and to get into the quarterfinals is rather surprising, to be honest. But we'll have to see if they pick up their game in their next match. So after that, we get 1 point, and that is another point added on. So it is, and we're going to move on to the fourth match. Now, the fourth match is France versus the Republic, and I predicted France to go through with the Republic going home at this stage. And I couldn't see with the class that France had for the match to go down to extra time and penalties. And I was correct in this result, but it nearly went downhill after the second minute, with Brady scoring a 2-minute penalty and setting a potentially shock result in the process, as France were caught unawares, and that meant that the Republic went into the lead and continued that on right through the first half. But unfortunately, after the break, things started to go downhill from there, as Griezmann in the 57th minute scored an equaliser, and that set the ball rolling, as 4 minutes later, in the 61st minute, Griezmann scored the second, and that put France in the lead. And the final nail in the coffin was Duffy getting sent off for the Republic in the 66th minute. And that pretty much sealed France's victory to go through into the quarterfinals of the tournament, which was very good for them, but very shaky at the start. So it was after going in at half time, being 1-0 down. But it was good that they showed that they could pick themselves up and move forward and score more goals in the process. So after this match, we scored 3 points, as we correctly predicted, all 3 winner, loser, and if the match went to extra time and penalty. So that's a very good match. Then the first half of matches, and now we're going to move on to the second half. Now, match 5, Germany versus Slovakia, and I predicted that Germany was going to win this one, with Slovakia losing out. And I couldn't see the match going into extra time and penalties, as Germany are that controlled. They got that much depth to the squad. They could carry on throughout this tournament and set themselves up for a quarter-final place. As Slovakia's players may be tiring at this stage after playing 4 matches in such a short space of time. And it turns out that was the case, as Germany won 3-0. Boateng scoring in the 8th minute, Gomez scoring in the 43rd, and Draxler scoring in the 63rd to seal it off. And it was a very well-rounded performance, so it was from Germany, showing the class that they had during the World Cup of 2014. And I think that was definitely the boost that they needed to get through to the next stage of the competition and show that they mean business, after them not firing in all cylinders during the group stage matches. So after that match, unfortunately, Slovakia going home. They put on a good performance, say they have, through the group stages. They got out of the group, being one of the top 4 third place teams. But unfortunately, Germany was a step too far. And fortunately for us, we predicted again, winner, loser, and if the match went down to extra time or penalties. And we have got another 3 points on the board. So we're going on to match 6. Match 6, Belgium versus Hungary. I predicted the Belgium was going to go through, as they had a lot more class than Hungary did. Even though Hungary won their group with Portugal in their group, Austria in their group. And unfortunately, I couldn't see them going through. Even though after their high scoring game against Portugal, I didn't think that could continue. And because of Belgium's class and all that, I could see Belgium's team being more collective and being able to score within the 90 minutes. As Hungary, in their 3-3 draw against Portugal, they seem to be very leaky at the back. But if they couldn't continue their goal scoring form, then they would be in trouble. And as seen in the Belgium-Hungary match, Belgium came through, and continuing with the high scoring matches, Belgium won 4-0. I think that's the biggest gap in the Euro 2016 tournament so far for a victory, and unfortunately it was against Hungary, so it was. Hungary was on the receiving end of it. And Belgium won 4-0 with goals from Alderweireld, and then a 2-minute spurt of goals straight after one another from Batshuayi and Hazard. Now that was a crazy 2 minutes, scoring one after the other. And then to finish it off, Carrasco scored in injury time, so he did, and that definitely was an easier match for them. So it showed the class of the Belgium side, what they can do in this tournament, and hopefully they can go far with the form they have shown. So after this match, correctly predicting the game, Belgium, Hungary, and not going into extra time or penalties, so that's another 3 points, and hopefully this can continue after the roll that we've been on. So we're going to move on to the 7th match. So the 7th match, Italy versus Spain, a repeat of the Euro 2012 final. And I predicted that, unlike the Euro 2012 final, the match was going the other way, as I predicted Italy to win, Spain to lose, and for the match to go into extra time and penalties. And unfortunately, the match didn't go into extra time and penalties after goals from Italy's Chiellini and Pella sealed the match, so it did now, and that sent Spain home, meaning that they will not win a 3rd European Championship. And for the first time since Greece won the European Championship, there will be a new winner of the trophy. And Italy showing good form after the loss against the Republic of Ireland, starting back and showing they mean business by beating Spain, the reigning champions as I've said, and going through very comfortably in the process. So that's very good for them, and we will see later on who they will play in the quarterfinals. So out of this match, we scored 2 points, correctly predicting that Italy will win, Spain will lose, and unfortunately, as we've already mentioned, the match didn't go into extra time or penalties, so we didn't predict that correctly. So 2 points, very good, and we're going to move on to match 8, the final match. So the final match, England versus Iceland, and I thought England were going to run away with this, as Iceland are one of the smallest nations, if not the smallest nation, to come through in this tournament, to get out of the group stage especially. And I thought they were going to win within the 90 minutes, but unfortunately we only got one of them right, as Iceland, shock of all shocks, beat England 2-1, so they did, and unfortunately that means that England are out of a major tournament again at one of the earliest stages you can be out in the round of 16. But we thought it was going to be a formality, as Rooney scored a 4-minute penalty to put England in the lead, but unfortunately 2 minutes later Sigurdsson came through and scored in the 6th minute. Then in the 18th minute, Sigurdsson came through and scored what turned out to be the winner for Iceland to knock England out of the competition. And they done it within the 90 minutes. So they did. So that being said, we got 1 point for that, for predicting it didn't go any farther than that. But unfortunately, England being knocked out meant that we missed out in the points for predicting the winner and predicting the loser. But well done to Iceland for getting through the group stages as they did, beating Portugal in the process with the last minute goal, and then going on to beat England to reach the quarterfinals of the competition. Now we're going to see how they do against the bigger nations, as they've not won out already, and it'll be interesting to see how they do against the rest. Now after that we scored 1 point, and we're going to see the final score of the round of 16. Now the final score, we got 17 out of 24, not too bad, only missing out 7 points. And I think we predicted correctly the winner and loser of all matches bar 2. I think, which is very good, which means that we only lost the rest of the points through extra time and penalties. So we done very well for that. And going on to the series, We have scored 35 points out of 52 in the after the round of 16, which is way above halfway, which is what I'm aiming for at the minute. Just set your goals low and then you'll meet your expectations, as I say. But now we're going to move on to the quarter-final predictions and see what I put for them. Now, the first match is Portugal versus Poland, and I predicted that Portugal will go through with this again as they did against Croatia, as Poland aren't that big a side. They got as many star players as Croatia did, but I think Portugal will scrape through, and the match will go through to extra time and penalties again. And I think that'll mean that Portugal will be in the semi-finals for the first time since Euro 2004 and maybe go right through to the final if they pick up the form that they have unfortunately not been able to show during this tournament so far. So I think Portugal's going to win, Poland going to lose out, and the match will go through to extra time and penalties. The second match is Belgium versus Wales, and I think Belgium will go through. After their performance against Hungary, I think they've definitely got the scoring boots on, and they're going to pick apart Wales' defence and be able to score maybe a couple of goals in the process, but I think it's going to be tight. So it is now, and I don't think they'll be able to pick through the team during the 90 minutes, as I think Wales' defence is going to be a lot harder than Hungary's defence who they played in the round of 16. So that's how I think the Belgium-Wales match is going to turn out. Germany versus Italy. Now this will be interesting. The runners-up of the two last Euro Championships are coming together in the quarter-finals, and we're going to see who prevails and who gets into the semi-finals. But I think Germany are going to prevail, as they've been very consistent during the last major tournaments, especially winning the World Cup in 2014. And I think Italy's form will falter at this stage, as Germany's got such good depth to the squad, and Italy's team may be a wee bit knackered at this stage of the tournament. And I think it will go down to extra time or penalties again, like the other two matches I predicted. And I think it'll be a very close game. It'll be very interesting to watch, but I think Germany will come out as victors to reach the semi-finals. And the final match, France versus Iceland. Now, I think even with Iceland's performance against England, I don't think they'll be able to use their momentum and beat the host France to get through to the semi-finals. I think France definitely, after their wake-up call that they had during the Republic of Ireland game, I think they'll not let their defence slip again and be in the same situation. But Iceland has proved, again, they've been in the same situation as well, going 1-0 down early on against England. But I think France, as being hosts, they're always going to be favourites in their matches, and I think they'll go through to the semi-finals, and it will be within the 90 minutes, as it was in their round of 16 game. So that is my prediction for the Euro 2016 quarter-finals. Now, it'll be interesting to see how we do after the first two episodes. We've definitely done well so far, but I hope this will continue throughout the final couple of episodes. So, thanks very much for watching this episode. Hope you've enjoyed, and until next time, see you in the next episode. Bye!